Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. Aliens sent an SOS. The wrong fleet answered. The signal from the void. The signal arrived at Earth's deep space monitoring array on a Tuesday, weak, fragmented, but unmistakably artificial. It pulsed through the void like a fatting heartbeat. Lieutenant Maya Chen was the first to notice the anomaly, a pattern too regular to be cosmic background radiation. She removed her headset and turned to her supervisor, Captain Watkins. "I think you need to hear this." The transmission echoed through the station's command center, crackling with static but clear enough to understand by any sentient species who receives this message. "This is High Counselor Veril of the Araxian Conclave. Our worlds are under attack. Highly aggressive entities we call the Harvesters have destroyed our defense fleet and colonized 2 of our outer planets. They consume all resources and leave only barren rock. We cannot match their technology. If anyone can render aid, please respond. We have perhaps 1 lunar cycle before our home world falls." The message repeated, then dissolved into static. Within 6 hours, the United Earth Defense Council had convened an emergency session. Commander Elena Reyes stood at attention before the assembled leadership, her dark eyes fixed on Admiral Harrison as he described the situation. "The Araxians are approximately 17 light-years from Earth. They're one of the species we've had limited diplomatic contact with since joining the Galactic Confederation 3 years ago, primarily scientists and artists, from what our ambassadors report, with limited military capabilities. And these Harvesters?" asked Reyes, unknown. "Nothing in Confederation records matches their description." Harrison's expression was grim. "This could be a new threat to the sector." A council member spoke up. "We're still establishing our position in interstellar politics. The Confederation has barely accepted us. Is it wise to commit our military assets to an alien conflict?" Admiral Harrison looked around the table. "Humanity spent centuries fighting amongst ourselves. Now we have an opportunity to prove we can be protectors, not just conquerors." The debate continued for hours before the vote. When the council adjourned, Commander Reyes had her orders: lead Earth's first interstellar military response. 3 days later, Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Intrepid, the most advanced battle cruiser in Earth's fleet. Around her, crew members worked with practiced efficiency as the ship prepared to depart Earth orbit. 5 other warships had joined the response force: the destroyers Valiant, Defiant, and Sentinel, and the cruisers Resolute and Dauntless. "Status report, Commander," ordered Ortiz Rise as her second-in-command. "Approach, all systems optimal." "Commander, the fleet is ready for departure," Ortiz replied, handing her a data tablet. "We've loaded the latest translation matrices for the Araxian language, and Dr. Kimra has been studying their biology in case we need to provide medical assistance." Reyes nodded, and Tactical Lieutenant Park added, "We've been running simulations based on the limited data we have on the Harvesters. Without knowing their capabilities, it's mostly educated guesswork. We'll adapt when we have better information." Reyes turned her attention to the view screen, where Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space as the ships prepared for FTL jump. She addressed the combined crews of the response fleet. "Men and women of Earth, we embark today on humanity's first mission to defend another species. The Araxians call us Deathworlders, a term used for species from high-gravity, high-danger planets. They see our evolutionary history as making us inherently dangerous. Today, we prove that being dangerous isn't the same as being destructive. We will use our strength to protect, not to conquer." The Intrepid's engines hummed as energy built for the jump. "Prepare for faster-than-light travel," announced the ship's AI. The stars on the view screen elongated into streaks of light as the fleet leaped toward Araxian space. The journey took 8 days of FTL travel, punctuated by brief returns to normal space for system checks and course adjustments. Commander Reyes used the time to prepare her crew, running combat simulations and strategy sessions. On the 8th day, the fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Araxian star system. Lieutenant Chen, at Sensors, spoke first. "Commander, I'm detecting multiple large vessels in orbit around the 4th planet. The configuration doesn't match any known Confederation designs." Magnify, ordered Rice. The view screen showed dark, angular ships that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. They orbited a blue-green world that bore visible scars, blackened areas visible even from space. "Are those the harvesters?" asked Ortiz. "Seems likely," Rise replied. "Open a channel to the Araxian home world." After several tense minutes, the view screen flickered, revealing a slender, Avon-like being with iridescent feather scales covering its head and neck. Its four-fingered hands moved constantly in what seemed to be nervous agitation. "This is High Counselor Veril of the Araxian Conclave," it said in accented standard Galactic. "Identify yourselves." "I am Commander Alinga Reyes of the United Earth Defense Force. We received your distress signal and have come to render assistance." Veril's large, compound eyes widened. "The Deathworlders, you actually came." The Araxian seemed both surprised and uncertain. "We sent our call to many worlds, none responded until now. We're here," Reyes confirmed. "We need to know what we're facing. Can you transmit all available data on the Harvester vessels and their combat capabilities?" Yes, of course," Veril replied, gesturing to someone off-screen. "We are sending everything we have documented." "But, Commander, these creatures, they have destroyed every defense we mounted. They seem to adapt to any strategy." "Our adaptation is something humans understand very well," replied Counselor Veril. "Well, approach with caution, but we intend to engage the enemy. Is there somewhere your people can shelter? Our underground sanctuaries currently house most of our population," Veril explained. "But the harvesters have begun landing excavation machines. We have perhaps 3 planetary rotations before they reach the deepest shelters. Then we have no time to waste," Rice concluded. "Stand by for our approach." As the transmission ended, Rice turned to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Park. "Analyze the Araxian data. As soon as it arrives, I want to know everything about these harvesters before we engage, Commander." The fleet moved deeper into the system, maintaining a defensive formation. Within an hour, Park had preliminary findings. "The harvester ships appear to be biomechanical in nature," he reported. "They have powerful energy weapons, adaptive shielding, and self-repair capabilities. The Araxians attempted conventional attacks, energy weapons, even biological countermeasures. Nothing worked for long." "What about their behavior?" Rise asked. "Attack patterns, command structure." "They operate almost like a hive mind," Park explained. "Perfect coordination, instant response to threats, but there's evidence suggesting one vessel acts as a command ship." He highlighted one larger vessel on the tactical display. "This one sends more signals than it receives." Rise studied the display thoughtfully. "So, they adapt quickly, work in perfect coordination, and have superior technology." She looked up at her officers. "But they've never faced humans before." The intrepid sensors chimed an alert. "Commander," Chen called, "the harvester ships are altering course. They've detected us." "All vessels, battle formation Delta," Rise ordered. "Cruisers to the center, destroyers form the perimeter. Hold fire until my command." The Earth fleet moved into position as the harvester ships approached, 3 of them breaking away from Araxia's orbit to intercept the newcomers. "They're scanning us," reported Chen. "Intensive electromagnetic probes let them look." "Rice, I want to see how they react to unfamiliar technology," Rice said. The lead harvester ship suddenly accelerated, closing the distance faster than expected. A brilliant beam of energy lanced out, striking the destroyer Valiant's forward shields, which held at 62%, came the report from the Valiant. "That was just a warning shot, Commander. They could have hit us with more power. They're testing us," Rise observed. "Let's show them what we can do. Target the lead vessel, concentrated fire from all ships," Rise ordered. The Earth fleet responded in unison, energy weapons and projectile launchers unleashing a barrage at the lead harvester ship. Most shots impacted its dark hull, but the vessel appeared to absorb much of the energy, resulting in minimal damage. "Target," Park reported. "They're adjusting their shields, already adapting." "Rotate weapon frequencies, randomized pattern," Rise noted. The fleet's next volley struck with greater effect, piercing the harvester's defenses in several places. The alien vessel shuddered, dark fluid leaking from its wounds. "They're responding," Chen called out. All three ships accelerate to attack positions. What followed was unlike any space combat humanity had ever engaged in. The harvester vessels moved with uncanny coordination, firing precisely at the Earth ship's weakest points. Two of the destroyers took heavy damage within minutes, but the humans fought back with creativity that seemed to confuse the harvesters. When the aliens adapted to one tactic, the Earth fleet switched to another. The Dauntless executed a reckless maneuver, accelerating directly toward one harvester before veering off at the last second, allowing the Intrepid to hit the enemy from an unexpected angle. "Their coordination is incredible," Ortiz remarked as they watched the battle unfold. "But they seem puzzled by our randomness, exploiting that confusion is our advantage," Rise replied. "Continue unpredictable maneuvers. All ships implement battle plan, chaos protocol." The Earth vessels broke formation, each one executing seemingly independent actions that nevertheless formed part of a larger strategy. The harvesters' perfect coordination began to work against them, as they struggled to develop a unified response to the humans' apparent disorder. A critical moment came when the Intrepid, feigning retreat, lured one of the harvester vessels into an ambush. As it pursued, the Valiant and Defiant emerged from behind Araxia's moon, unleashing a concentrated attack on the isolated enemy. The harvester ship's hull buckled under the assault, its systems failing as the humans targeted the same sections repeatedly, giving it no chance to repair. In a final burst of energy, the vessel exploded, fragments scattering across space. "First blood to us," Rise announced grimly. But they learned fast. The remaining ships were already adjusting their tactics. Indeed, the two surviving harvester vessels pulled back, maintaining distance while continuing to fire more precisely at the Earth ships. Commander Chen called urgently, "I'm detecting a signal from the larger harvester ships in orbit. They're all accelerating toward our position." "How many?" asked Rice. "7 more vessels," Chen confirmed, including what appears to be their command ship. Rise surveyed the situation. The Earth fleet had scored a victory, but at a cost. The Sentinel was heavily damaged, the Valiant's shields were failing, and the other ships had sustained varying degrees of injury. "All vessels regroup at coordinates Alpha 3, she ordered. "We need to reassess." As the Earth ships pulled back to a defensive position near Araxia's outer moon, Rise opened a channel to Counselor Verrill. "We've managed to destroy one of their ships, but the rest are mobilizing against us," she reported. "We need a new strategy." Verrill's expression showed both fear and hope. "You've achieved more than we ever could, Commander. Our scientists have been analyzing the battle data. There may be something we can offer." "We're listening," Reyes said. "The harvester ships are partially biological," Verrill explained. "Our xenobiologists have identified certain frequencies that disrupt their neural pathways. Our weapons weren't powerful enough to exploit this weakness, but perhaps yours." Reyes nodded. "Send us the frequency data, we'll modify our weapons accordingly." As the transmission ended, Rise turned to her officers. "We've bloodied their nose, and now they're taking us seriously. The real battle is about to begin." The Earth fleet regrouped rapidly, implementing modifications to their weapon systems based on the Araxian data. Meanwhile, the Harvester fleet approached with methodical precision, their dark ships forming an attack formation that would envelop the humans from multiple angles. "They think they have us cornered," Rise observed while watching the tactical display. "Let's show them how humans fight when our backs are against the wall." Deathworlders unleashed. The Harvester fleet advanced in perfect formation, 9 biomechanical vessels moving as one organism. On the bridge of the Intrepid, Commander Reyes and her officers watched the enemy approach. "Modifications to weapon systems complete," reported Lieutenant Park. "All ships report ready. The Araxians have provided shelter coordinates," added Commander Ortiz. "Their major population centers are here, here, and here." He indicated several locations on the planetary display, all underground, but the harvesters are deploying ground units to dig them out. Reyes nodded, her expression resolute. "Then we fight on 2 fronts. We need to engage their fleet while getting boots on the ground to protect the Araxian shelters." She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel to all ships." When the connection was established, Rise addressed the combined crews of the Earth fleet. "This is Commander Reyes. The situation is straightforward. We are outnumbered and facing an enemy with superior technology. But throughout our history, humans have faced such odds and prevailed. The Harvesters have never encountered our kind before. They don't understand what they're facing." She paused, looking at the determined faces on her view screen. "They call us Deathworlders because we evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day. Our ancestors survived predators, diseases, natural disasters, and even each other. We carry that legacy in our DNA, the refusal to surrender, the creativity that comes from desperation, the pack instinct that makes us protect not just our own but anyone we consider under our care. Today, the Araxians are under our protection. Today, we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten a species allied with Earth. Battle plan, Thunder Strike commences in 5 minutes. Prepare yourselves." Across the fleet, weapons powered up in launch bays, Marines equipped for ground deployment boarded shuttles, and medical teams prepared for casualties. "All ships acknowledge, ready," a commander reported. Ortiz said, "Ray, execute Thunder Strike Phase 1. The Earth fleet suddenly split into 3 groups. The smallest group, led by the damaged Sentinel, accelerated away from the others, appearing to flee the battle entirely. The largest group, including the Intrepid and Dauntless, moved directly toward the approaching Harvesters, and the third group, consisting of the Valiant and several troop transports, curved toward Araxia's night side. The Harvesters immediately adjusted their formation, the majority of their ships moving to intercept the Intrepid's group, while 2 peeled off to pursue the Valiant. "They took the bait," noted Ortiz. "Ground team, you have a chance to make planetfall now for the hard part." "All ships implement the modified weapons protocols," Rise replied. The Earth vessels opened fire. Their weapons were now calibrated to the frequencies the Araxians had identified. The effect was immediate. Where before their attacks had caused only surface damage, now they penetrated deeper, causing the Harvester ships to shudder and leak dark fluid from their wounds. "It's working," Park confirmed, "but they're already adapting, effectiveness decreasing by approximately 7% per volley." "Switch to randomized frequency rotation," ordered Rice. "Don't give them time to adjust." The battle intensified as the Harvesters coordinated their response. 3 of them surrounded the Resolute. Their combined weapons fire overwhelmed its shields. The cruiser's hull breached in multiple places before it managed to break free, trailing debris and atmosphere. "Resolute reports heavy casualties," Ortiz said grimly. "Engine capability at 30%. They can't take another hit like that. Order them to fall back." "Intrepid will cover their retreat," Rise commanded. On the tactical display, the Valiant group had reached Araxia's atmosphere, deploying shuttles toward the surface. 2 Harvester vessels pursued, firing at the transports. "Ground team reports incoming fire," said Chen. 3 shuttles hit, status unknown." Reyes' jaw tightened. "Divert the Defiant to provide cover fire for the remaining shuttles." The battle fragmented into multiple engagements across the Araxian system. The Earth ships fought with desperate ingenuity, constantly changing tactics to confuse the Harvesters. Coordinated attacks. When conventional weapons began losing effectiveness, they switched to nuclear-tipped missiles. When the Harvesters adapted to those, the humans used their ships themselves as weapons, executing dangerously close passes to disrupt enemy targeting. "We're holding our own," Ortiz observed after 30 minutes of intense fighting, "but we can't keep this up indefinitely. The Defiant's shields are failing, and we've lost contact with 2 of the ground teams." Reyes studied the tactical display, focusing on the largest Harvester ship. The one their analysis suggested was the command vessel. It had remained at the rear of the enemy formation, coordinating but not directly engaging. "There," she said, pointing to the display. "That's our target. If the Araxians are right about their hive-like coordination, taking out the command ship might disrupt the entire fleet." "It's heavily defended," Park cautioned. "We'd need to get past at least 3 escort vessels." "Then that's what we'll do," Rice decided. "Contact the Sentinel, tell them to execute Phase 2. The Sentinel, which had appeared to flee the battle earlier, had actually swung around the planet's moon, using its gravity to accelerate. Now it emerged from behind the natural satellite, its engines flaring as it hurtled directly toward the Harvester command ship. They've spotted the Sentinel, reported Chen. Harvester escorts are moving to intercept all remaining ships. Concentrate fire on those escorts, ordered Rice. Give the Sentinel its shot. The Earth fleet executed a coordinated attack, pulling the Harvester escorts out of position. The damaged Sentinel, piloted by the veteran Captain Sodto, accelerated to maximum speed on a collision course with the command ship. "Sentinel is hailing us," said Chen. Captain Sodto's face appeared on the view screen, his bridge filled with smoke and flashing emergency lights. "Commander Reyes, the Sentinel won't survive another engagement. We've sustained critical damage to our containment systems. Reactor breach is imminent." "Ray understood," replied Reyes immediately. "Captain Sodto, your crew must have evacuated in life pods." Sodto interrupted. "I've stayed with a skeleton crew to pilot the ship. We'll make it count, Commander Reyes." Reyes nodded solemnly. "Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, Captain." The Sentinel accelerated toward the Harvester command ship, its damaged hull glowing from the strain. The enemy vessel attempted evasive maneuvers, but the Sentinel matched its course, closing the distance rapidly. "Sentinel impact in 10 seconds, reported Park. The bridge crew watched in silence as the Sentinel rammed the much larger Harvester vessel. The impact alone caused significant damage, but it was what followed that proved devastating. The Sentinel's failing reactor detonated, unleashing a miniature sun that engulfed both ships completely. When the blinding light faded, the Harvester command ship was still there, but horribly mangled, its organic components exposed to space, its energy systems flickering erratically. "Direct hit," Park confirmed. "Harvester command ship heavily damaged but still operational. Target all weapons on the damaged sections," ordered Rice. "Don't give it time to repair." The Earth fleet concentrated their fire on the wounded command ship, pouring every ounce of firepower into the breach the Sentinel had created. Under the sustained barrage, the Harvester vessel finally buckled, breaking apart in a cascade of secondary explosions. "Commander Chen, look at the other Harvester ships on the display," Reyes called excitedly. The remaining enemy vessels had suddenly lost their perfect coordination. Some drifted out of formation, others fired at empty space, and two actually collided with each other. "The Araxians were right," Rice said. "They do function as a hive we've cut off the head." The Earth fleet pressed their advantage, targeting the disoriented Harvester ships one by one. Without their central coordination, the aliens could not adapt quickly enough to the human attacks. "Ground team reports the Harvesters on the surface have stopped advancing," Ortiz announced. "They're just standing still." Within hours, the last Harvester ship had been destroyed or disabled. The battle for Araxia was over. 2 days later, Commander Reyes stood in the Great Council chamber of the Araxian capital, now relocated to the surface from their underground shelters. The high-domed room was filled with the Avan aliens, their iridescent scales reflecting the light in waves of color. High Counselor Verrill stepped forward, bowing deeply before Reyes. "Commander, the Araxian people owe you and Earth a debt we can never repay. You have saved not just our world, but our entire species from extinction." "We responded, as any sentient race should, to a call for help," Reyes replied, though she knew this wasn't entirely true. Many species had ignored the Araxians' plea. "Perhaps," said Verrill, "but it is telling that only the Deathworlders answered." The counselor gestured to a large mural being unveiled on the chamber wall, a depiction of Earth ships defending Araxia. "We once used this term out of fear, now we speak it with reverence." After the ceremony, as Rice prepared to return to her ship, a small Araxian child approached her, offering a delicate crystalline sculpture. "What is this?" Rice asked. An Araxian scientist translated, "It is a memory crystal. It contains the genetic sequences of all Araxian species and records of our history and culture." The child said it is for safekeeping because Deathworlders protect what they value. Rice knelt to the child's level and said, "We will keep it safe, and Earth will always answer if Araxia calls again." As the Intrepid broke orbit the next day, Reyes received a transmission from Admiral Harrison back on Earth. "Congratulations, Commander," Harrison said. The Araxians have formally requested an alliance with Earth, and the Galactic Confederation is buzzing with news of your victory. Several other species have expressed interest in diplomatic relations. Perhaps they've realized that dangerous isn't the same as destructive, Rice suggested. Harrison nodded. Exactly. The term Deathworlders has taken on a new meaning. It seems we have found our place in the galaxy, not as conquerors but as protectors. Reyes looked at the view screen where Araxia grew smaller as they departed. It's a role I think humanity can embrace, she thought aloud to Admiral Harrison as the Intrepid prepared for the jump back to Earth. Reyes thought about the long history of human conflict, how they had nearly destroyed themselves countless times. Now, those same aggressive instincts, the adaptability and determination forged on their dangerous home world had found a higher purpose. The Deathworlders had become defenders, and the galaxy would never be the same.